And the one thing I like about this book is that it reinforces that you don't need to give up going to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. Oh my god! You gotta be kidding me! Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a special nonfiction book. It is called The Latte Factor by David Bach. I picked this up, actually I had put it on a display when I went back to work, which was at the end of June, and I had decided to do a financial health display because of everything that's going on. And I found this among the finance books and I put it on display. And so at the end of July, when I was taking down the display to put up something for August, this one for some reason just kind of stuck out to me. It's a small little nonfiction book, I think about 130 pages. And it took me forever to actually check it out of the library and then to bring it home. But I read it maybe about a week or two ago and it was awesome. So The Latte Factor is a nonfiction finance book written as a fiction story. It follows a girl named Zoe. She's 27. She lives in New York City. She specifically lives in Brooklyn and commutes to her job working at a travel magazine in Lower Manhattan. And one day on her way to work, she stops at a cafe or a coffee shop and she happens to notice this beautiful picture and it kind of unsettles her. And there was also a picture she saw, I think on Instagram, and it was a picture of a ship stranded in the middle of the desert. And it said, like, if you don't know where you're going, you won't like where you end up. And so that picture from the Instagram story or whatever, from social media, and then the picture that she saw at the coffee shop, which was of this beautiful little sea town, they kind of cause her to question her life and what she's doing with her life. At the same time, she loves her job, but she did go for an interview at a social media or a marketing job, basically, with her friend who works at a higher paying place. And she has to decide when to tell her boss that she's planning on quitting. So she ends up going to lunch one day with her boss, and her boss notices that she's been off, and she kind of, in a roundabout way, explains what's her issue, and her boss says, you know, you should go talk to the guy that works at the coffee shop that you go to. And she thinks to herself, I'm not really going to go talk to a barista at a coffee shop about this painting that I can't afford, or a portrait. It was a picture that she couldn't afford. And she ends up going to the coffee shop the very next day, and she's looking at the picture. She wants to see exactly how much it costs, which is $1,200. And she's like, whew, there's no way I can afford that between all my bills and my student loans. I just can't. And the coffee shop barista ends up coming up to her. So Henry comes up to her and he's like, oh, you like the picture? And she's like, yeah, but I could never afford it. And he's like, well, if you can afford that latte, you can afford that painting. She doesn't understand. And as the book goes on, she basically gets all of these money lessons from this man named Henry who works at the coffee shop. She finds out that if she invests a little bit of money every day, she will eventually become a millionaire by a certain age. There's graphs and stuff in the book. And all throughout, she's trying to figure out what the term the latte factor means. It doesn't hit her right away. And there's one instance where she meets a guy, his name is Baron, and his wife, I forgot, I think her name is Georgia. They were former millionaires. I think they're millionaires again, but before they had hit a rough patch. So Henry helps them sell their homes and figure out, how to, or didn't help them sell their homes, but helps them figure out like the moves that they needed to make to get themselves back in financial order. Because though they were bringing in a lot of money, the amount of debt they had kind of negated all of that. And it is also really important in this book that, well, we find out that Barron's latte factor is actually cigarettes. And when they were at their prime in debt, Barron was a huge cigarette smoker. And in giving up cigarettes, which is something that's not necessarily healthy for him and doesn't necessarily bring him any joy, he got unintended dividends. Basically, they ended up saving a lot more money for him not buying so many cigarettes. You don't need to give up going to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or doing little things that make you happy, going out to eat, but it's everything in moderation. So you're not doing this excessively, especially if you have certain goals and you know that that money that is going to those things could go to those goals instead. Another thing that this book really stresses is women getting control of their finances. Zoe has a conversation not only with Georgia, but also with her mother and also with her boss, who is also a woman, about the fact it is through conversations with Georgia and her mother that what her boss tells her about women needing to know about finances in their relationship, taking control of their finances, is so, so very important, because a lot of times women do end up in situations in which they don't know what's going on with the finances, and their family could be in huge amounts of debt, or they're not saving for retirement, and therefore when they do become of retirement age, they are just at a loss and they don't have as much money saved. Or if their husband ends up passing, or their spouse, significant other ends up passing, and again doesn't leave them enough money, there's just a lot of financial issues that women need to be more concerned about. One really important lesson is that everybody should be involved in their finances, no matter what the situation, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, or both spouses are working. Like, you need to continuously have conversations. And actually, Georgia brings that up with Barron, or brings that up to Zoe about her relationship with Barron. She was like, we almost lost our marriage because of me finding out about the finances while he was in the hospital, and it was us continually talking about money and where we were going with the money that really saved, oh my God, that really saved the relationship. And I think that's so, so important. It's something my husband and I are currently dealing with, making sure that we do talk about money. We talk to each other about big purchases as well as little purchases, whether it's buying a shoe rack so the apartment's a little less messy with all of our shoes by the door, or buying a newer camera that costs a couple $100, or whether we are going out to eat, or whether we should save that money towards Christmas or something else. Anything that deals with money, we talk about. Anyways, so I really, really enjoyed this. Sometimes it came off a little bit contrived because, they're supposed to be educating you on finance through conversations that Zoe is having with the people in her life, whether it's her boss, whether it's Henry, whether it's her super cynical roommate, whether it's her mom or her dad. But yes, and I love that Zoe eventually finds out through talking to Henry what it is that's important to her. She always wanted to take a photography class, so he's like, hey, set aside a certain amount of money every month and you'll be able to afford that photography class within a couple months to a year. She really wants to travel, not to go on extraordinary ventures like skydiving or swimming with sharks. I say that because I've been watching a lot of Shark Week. But it's just to see beautiful places. I mean, personally, that's what I want to do with traveling. Not that I'm going anywhere anytime soon, but I agree, and I could relate because, again, we're both around the same age. She's 27, I'm 28, and so kind of hit home. And it really just, emphasizes that there's no excuse. Like, you can save something, and you should be saving something. You should be paying yourself first. Yeah, those are the things that came out of the Latte Factor. I thought it was wonderful. It's a quick read. I literally read it within a day. And I just really loved that it was a nonfiction book through a fiction story. So if you want to read through Zoe's journey, I highly suggest picking up this book. If you are more interested in learning about your finances, I highly suggest picking out this book. It came out in 2019, I think. Oh, yeah, copyright is 2019. So it's relatively new. And yeah, if you are interested in at least learning a little bit about finances and the things that you can do to be better with them, check it out, friends. All right, so yes, I am not promising that I'll be back next week with another book review. You know, I want to focus on quality over quantity, and I really want to enjoy reading. I found a couple of months ago that I felt like I had to force myself to read a lot and read quickly, which is not always the case. When I'm into something, I read it really quickly. If I'm not into something, it's going to take me forever to read it, and I might not even finish it. And I just don't want to make promises that I can't keep anymore. So I'm going to come out with book reviews. It might be next week. It might be 3 months from now. I don't know, but please stick around. Jump in the comments of other book reviews that I have and write a comment whether you agree or disagree with my reviews on things, or if you have any suggestions of books that people should read related to the book, or, you know, feel free to like and subscribe. If you don't like a book review, dislike it. It's still stats for me. It's still helpful. So yeah. And for those of you that care what's happening and why I haven't been around, aside from the fact that I felt like reading wasn't as fun by trying to crank out books for this for this channel, I did go back to work at the end of June, and in July we opened back up to the public, and we've been working on virtual programs. So I've been doing a lot of filming and editing for my job, and I recently just finished 2 big pre-recorded programs, so I had a little more mental energy for working on this channel. And yeah, so thank you so much for stopping by and reading. Let me know if you check out this book or if you have another financial book that you absolutely enjoy in the comments below. I will see you guys sometime in the future. Have a good one.